Okay, and we are live. Hi, my name is TJ, also known as GFan84, and with me is,
Mongo's Big Thinks.
and thank you for joining me, Mongo. Appreciate it. Um, been going to be talking here about the Jurassic Park franchise and our memories of it, and where we think the series is going to go. Thank you, Metafin, for coming to the chat. Thank you, Junebug Films. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hello, hello. Appreciate it. So, like I said, I'm a bit older than you are, Mongo. So I actually remember going to see Jurassic Park in the theaters. And here's something funny. So, the way the marketing was for this movie, and I remember distinctly, it was marketed kind of like an adventure movie. And you had kids in the movie. You also had a bunch of toy lines that came with it. And you had a bunch of merchandise and that type of thing. So I was about 9 years old when this came out in 1993. And when I went, we didn't go opening weekend. We went like a weekend or two weekends later. It was still pretty busy because it's a very popular movie. But what I was surprised about was how many little kids were in that, like just above toddler age, maybe 4 or 5 years old. And as you know, in the very beginning sequence, when the raptor attacks the park worker, right out of the gate, quite literally, right, he grabs him right out of the gate, and I just remember the parents picking their screaming kids up, and just heading out of the theater. I mean, well, you have to
Yeah.
realize, um, um, you have to realize that um, every dinosaur movie that we got before this movie was more meant for kids. Actually, a couple of years before this, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Don Bluth made The Land Before Time, which is a very popular animated movie about
hmm
a brontosaurus, triceratops, and whatnot. And it was animated, it was cute, all that kind of stuff. So only a few years earlier, they had made that movie. And most of the movies that we had as kids growing up for these dinosaur movies were the old 1950s movies and stuff like that, and really bad effects and stuff like that, but they're still charming in their own way. Um, so we really didn't have a mature dinosaur movie. And again, I think the marketing kind of marketed a bit too much for kids, especially little kids, and then parents took them to see it, and then right out of the gate, I mean, it's just like, no, this is not for little children. This is very much a very serious movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Michael J. Fox was considered for
Oh.
Ian Malcolm. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting one. I didn't know that at all. I do say Jeff Goldblum was the perfect pick for that role, though.
Yeah, he was
I will
great.
say that.
Oh man.
Oh, more chats here. Okay.
Oh.
Hey,
Say
Orange
it
Hat.
with a little bit more disinterest.
But
So, where'd you get?
we're just talking about the initial movie, its opening, because I actually was old enough to actually go see it. I was about 9 years old, and I was just telling Mongo that like people brought their like toddlers to go see this movie, and then right out of the gate, the raptor attack at the beginning of the movie. I mean, parents were had to like run out with their screaming, crying kid because it was too violent.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I
that was a good
hated those things.
psychological scare.
Well,
I hated those raptors as a kid. They're just freaking.
oh, the noise they make, I think, is just as terrifying. It's that like high pitched like squeal or whatever it is. But yeah, we were saying that like before this movie, that there really wasn't a mature dinosaur movie. They were all like meant for kids, and so of course parents probably thought, oh, it's like a kids movie. No, it's not a kids movie. It's a very mature movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but well, let's get into the movie itself. So as as you all know, it's the main focus on this movie isn't necessarily just the dinosaurs, but it's the ever evolving science that goes with the times and how um, you know man's trying to outreach his own boundaries, so to speak. I think the dinner scene in that movie, as a kid, you think the dinner scene's kind of boring. You just want to see the dinosaurs, but when you're an adult, you really watch the dinner sequence where they're actually talking about the ramifications of bringing back these extinct life forms, to a modern day world. It's very much a very good look at science and morality, and then also nature itself. It's just really good writing.
Definitely. I really like that. It's a lot more like, yeah, like you were saying, there's a lot to digest with this movie. On the surface, of course, you have big, giant dinosaurs. And as you really go in, you listen to the dialogue, you listen to all the characters, all of their motivations and stuff. There's a lot to gain from the movie.
Oh yeah. Very much so. Nope, lost our chat real quick. But let's see here. I'm looking at the comments here. Let's see here. Would love to have seen James Cameron's version of Jurassic Park. He described it as aliens, but with dinosaurs. Well, actually, that's kind of true. Have you ever read the actual book by Michael Crichton?
Oh, yes, I've read that. That's a nice one. Nice
Yeah,
read.
yeah. The book itself is like a horror novel. I mean, he goes into vivid detail about um, the animal attacks, like how brutal it is. To have these things like really just gutting people and everything. I mean, he really does a good job describing it. I mean, heck, in the book, the concept eating a baby. It's like,
yes. Oh,
yeah, yeah. It's like, wow. So yeah, I could actually see that. James and aliens, but with dinosaurs. Yeah, that could have been the vibe, but thankfully it wasn't. Because
yeah.
I don't think I really don't think it would have been as popular as a rated R movie. It really wouldn't have worked.
That's an interesting thing, as growing up, now there's a lot of give and take that I kind of take with adaptations when you compare them to the original source material. Like there's some things where I can see and I'm like, okay, that was an interesting change. Don't know if I like how they changed that from the book. And then there are other things where I look at the movies and I'm like, okay, I kind of like that change, when compared to the book. It's an interesting kind of ebb and flow there.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I bet the spaying dinosaur scene got a few jump scares. Actually, that was probably one of my favorite scenes. The way they made the Dilophosaurus, the spitter, um, move and the way it reacted to Nedry's character was like a real animal. Like it was curious. It wanted to size up whether or not he was a threat or not, and then it just attacks. I mean, it was just very well done.
It was a smart animal.
Exactly.
He thought it was stupid. Basically,
Yeah,
he thought this is just a stupid little animal. Throw a stick, it'll probably go fetch, and it's looking at him like, okay, this thing is either very dumb or it's edible. Probably both.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have a snack.
He probably died of
basically
diabetes right afterwards.
Huh?
Somebody that big, I think he probably died. The dinosaur probably died of diabetes right afterwards.
Either that or
a lot of
sugar
leftovers.
shock.
Yeah, sugar shock.
Either that
Too.
or sugar shock.
Sugar shock.
Didn't the Mario movie come out before Jurassic Park? I'm not sure. I can't remember. I really didn't. I mean, I think I got through halfway through the Mario movie, and I just lost interest after that. It just, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It came out the same year.
Oh, it came out the same year.
Came out the same year. May 28th was Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Raptors were cool when I was younger. I read up on dinosaur stuff when I was a kid, so I was prepared for the lab. So that's good, But like I said, some parents especially were more horrified about. And it wasn't really that the movie had that much blood. It really didn't. But it was just the imagery and the tone and the lighting and all that. I mean, Steven Spielberg is very good at having tense scenes, but not really showing too much actual violence. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of oh gosh, like obviously this is jumping, but I was watching The Lost World yesterday, and it was coming to the part where there's the hand hanging from the boat, and I'm thinking, oh, is there going to be some blood drip? But it's just a hand, and it's like, okay, they're very nice about that. There's not like it's very tasteful, I guess. Tasteful.
Yeah. Okay. Hey there, Batman. How's it going? Yeah, I remember you from Twitter. Nice that you're on the scene. What was that?
What was that? Yeah.
Oh, that's a bird. Sorry about that.
That was a bird? Oh, I thought that was a lady or something.
Oh, no. Well,
No,
hey, that's pretty cool that there's a bird on the Jurassic Park stream. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm outside right now, guys.
That's fine.
It's good.
Okay, so now here's a quick question for you guys. Now, back when this first came out, it was kind of revolutionary, but not really. It was revolutionary for general audiences, but not for the scientific community. And that was that dinosaurs were more related to birds than they were reptiles. How did you guys react to that when you first found that out, whether you were a kid or during the movie, or, because you would think that these things would be more lizard-like, but here they're more bird-like. Now they're saying many of the dinosaurs probably had feathers.
Well, honestly, I thought that it was a very interesting theory, and I actually went along with it because they had a lot of parallels that are actually true. Birds have hollow bones. Certain dinosaurs were discovered to have hollow bones and hollow sections in their heads and skulls. So it's not too far of a leap. Plus, the beak or muzzle shape of the head also suggested a lot of relationships to birds. Look at the Compies or the Compsognathus. That thing looks like a small bird or like a very small little chicken, basically.
Yeah, like a featherless chicken. Yeah, essentially. But
go
ahead. Oh yeah, see, like fun fact, I actually knew about the dinosaurs and birds a while before Jurassic Park because because of me being a huge Godzilla fan. In Godzilla 1985, one of the ways they lead Godzilla away from Tokyo is they mimic the sound frequency of birds. And they were saying that Godzilla, being a dinosaur, still had a genetic homing like modern birds do, and saying that dinosaurs and birds were very similar. So that was one of the first movies that actually kind of like said about that. But again, it was a Godzilla movie, so nobody really took it as canon. But within the scientific community, they were actually talking about dinosaurs' relation to birds back in like the 70s. That's how far back.
Wow. Where do you think Crichton got most of his ideas on that?
Oh, from actual talking to actual paleontologists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
he had like he thanked. I have the book. He thanked like about dozens that talked to try to get the dinosaurs as sort of accurate as he could. And it's very interesting. So let's see here. The only thing I don't think James Cameron cast would have hurt. He wanted Arnold as Dr. Grant. Bill Paxton as Dr. Malcolm. Oh, that wouldn't be too bad. And Charlton Heston as Hammond. Wow.
Oh, wow. That'd have been cool.
Well,
I don't know. Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been interesting.
The thing about the Velociraptors, though, was if you actually take a look at, even back then, the Velociraptors were discovered to be very small.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they're only about up to my thigh at best. They're only like
Yes.
3 feet high.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where there is a species called the Utahraptor or the Utah
Mm.
raptor.
Utah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
They were. Yeah.
that is the one that is more likely to look like the
Yes.
velociraptors of the movie.
Yeah. And that was actually, and the Utah Raptor was actually discovered after the movie came out. And
Very true.
and one of the funny things was even paleontologists said it's like, yeah, that roughly size wise, that would have been the size that the velociraptors would be in the movies. And to give a bit more backstory with the movie and then with the book, Jurassic World goes into it in the one dialogue scene, but in the book they even say this is that none of the dinosaurs are pure dinosaurs. They're
Mhm.
all actual pieces of other animals because they had to fill in the genetic code with other animals. So none of the dinosaurs look how they should have looked like 65 million years ago. And they even said, even in the book, they admit they probably would have looked much different. But again, when you add different species into the genetic code, they can come out looking a lot different. And that's how they kind of explain in also in the movies in Jurassic World when Dr. Wu is talking to Maserati and telling him, nothing in this park is natural. You wanted, bigger, scarier, more teeth, and it's like
Mhm.
that's why they look like that. They're not going to look like regular dinosaurs.
They're all Frankensteins, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And there's actually been a going into like the original um, movie, like the dinner scene that I was going to be talking about. The dinner scene was phenomenal because one of the best lines in that was when Ian Malcolm says to Hammond, he goes, "Your scientists were so preoccupied on whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think whether or not they should." And that's such a great line because that can be applied to just about anything. Some people have even. I was reading comments of in that scene. It's on YouTube. I was reading a lot of comments, and a lot of people said that's like an allegory to like when Disney bought Star Wars. It's like they just were so preoccupied when buying it, they didn't think, well, maybe should we?
Mhm.
Very good point.
Yeah, but that's a great scene. Probably my biggest memory will always be the scene where Robert Muldoon, the game warden, he's hunting the raptor. He sees the raptor like right in front of him. He's taking aim, and then right beside him comes the other raptor. And it was hinted at very early on in the movie when Dr. Grant was saying about how they attack their prey, that kind of thing. And it's just like one of those aha moments. It's like, oh, that's what
Mhm.
he was talking about. And
Clever girl,
yeah,
as they say.
clever girl, yeah, that's
Mhm.
famous line and one of the most famous lines in the movie. And it's kind of funny because and this was the question that they even raised in the book too. You're dealing with an animal, one that's not even a pure animal. It's a mix of different animals, but also you have no way of rating their intelligence. You have no way of rating their ferocity, and you're pretty much just taking guesses by what you see in modern day animals, but that does not necessarily mean they function the same way.
Mhm.
And I always thought that was like brilliant. What was your guys' favorite scene from the original?
Ooh, man. That's tough. I'd probably say the Tyrannosaur when it breaks out of its paddock. That scene, that's probably one of my favorite scenes. Just seeing the animatronics, the head of the T-Rex, and just being the intensity of seeing the kids, Lex with the flashlight and just being like, oh,
Yeah,
turn off the light,
yeah,
come on. And then just that whole sequence and them just closing the door, and all of a sudden the T-Rex head swivels towards the door. And it's great. It's just a very fun scene.
I'm pretty much of the same mind there, except that I'm going to go a little tiny bit earlier in the scene when all the power goes off and you're starting to hear that thump, that
Oh,
boom,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
boom. And when they show the or that little tiny thing of water that and the vibrations in the water, and it's like,
Yeah.
then you actually see, it's like, where's the goat? Boom, there's the leg of the goat. And then you
Yeah.
look out, or you also see its hand touching the fence to see if it's still electrified.
Yeah.
So that actually shows you that the T-Rex had intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty interesting. And then it's like, okay, I'm getting out of this thing. I'm sick of being cooped up in here. I'm gonna try to find more fresh meat. I'm a predator, for crying out loud. I don't want to be fed. I want to hunt, like Malcolm said. And I mean, that's the wonderful thing about that entire scene was it was acting like a predator. It was not acting like, or it was acting as real as possible.
Yeah.
And one of the great things was the CGI for that dinosaur plus the animatronic dinosaur were very well matched.
Oh, yeah.
It just sucks. But I also remember from special features and stuff, they had so many problems with that dinosaur getting wet.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's in the rain sequence. Real quick here, Jack Horner was on set full time as the dinosaur consultant. Yes, actually, that's true. But here's the hilarious part about that. So Robert Backer actually was the consultant for the book. Jack Horner was the consultant for the movie. Those two weren't actually seeing eye to eye at this time, and they were actually having a big rivalry about dinosaurs. So, as kind of like a screw you to Robert Backer, Jack Horner said that the T-Rex was nearsighted and could only pick up on movement, when in actual reality, the Tyrannosaurus Rex had the eyes of like a hawk. So it was kind of funny. So like it's kind of funny how that stuff like that comes about like afterwards, and it's like then you realize it's like, oh, he just put that in there just to be kind of like a jerk.
Yeah. The visual acuity is based on movement. That was a nice little myth that they had.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I don't think we touched on was, does anybody remember how Sam Neill terrorized or basically just scared the hell out of that kid in the beginning?
Oh,
Where he's like,
that's
now and he just goes, or just basically tells the kid about the Velociraptor, how it'll kill him and all that stuff. And it's like, so next time, show a little respect. And the kid's like, okay. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is just so great.
Fun fact, there was a long-standing rumor that Chris Pratt was that kid in that movie.
At
They
all.
were about that same age. They were about the same age at that time. So it wasn't true, but there was a long-standing rumor that that's what he would become. He would become the raptor guy. But
you're saying that the character could have been
the character of Chris Pratt.
I thought you actually thought that was
no. Like the character. There was a long-standing rumor that was him, but they said no, that's not it at all. But no, and that's the more horrific thing. You see these all these deaths off screen, but one of the things that Grant even says to the kid is like, just remember, you're alive when they start to eat you. And it's like, it's just terrifying because, and then you see when the raptors attack, but you don't actually see what's going on. But just in your mind, because he got you thinking, it's like, oh.
Oh, totally. Just hearing Muldoon, like his like screams right when the raptor is like on top of him, right after it ambushes him. Oh man, that gives me chills just looking at it today. It's like, oh.
I wonder what that raptor was thinking when it was watching.
Watching what?
Well, he's eating. Maybe I'll just have this nice little tasty morsel. Or rather, she, because they were all female at the time. And the one that he was looking at was actually the alpha of the new alpha they brought in.
Oh yeah. So okay, here's another thing. Now, did you guys catch like the little subtle hints about the foreshadowing in the movie? For instance, all right, when they're in the helicopter and they're getting to the island and they're getting turbulence as they're starting to land, Alan Grant tries to put on his seatbelt and then he realizes he has two female ends. Well, what's he do?
Mm-hmm.
He ties it together and makes it work. It's a foreshadowing of what happens with the dinosaurs because they're all female, and then they start to actually breed.
That was such a cool scene when I heard that commentary, that kind of
Yeah.
meaning behind it. Because,
Oh yeah.
as a kid, I'm like, oh, okay, he's just
It's a
he's
funny
just tying
little
together his
line.
seatbelt. Okay, that's kind of funny, kind of
Yeah.
weird, but
Mhm.
just it's so great now
Oh yeah,
knowing that.
they do so many like fun. Again, it's one of those things you don't really think about as a kid, but then you start to watch it over and over again, and it's like, oh man, that's pretty inventive.
Hmm.
Um, so believe it or not, they weren't actually sure if they were going to make a second movie, and Michael Crichton himself actually uh, said he was working on the Lost World book, but he wasn't sure how he wanted to do it. Interestingly enough, in the original book, Ian Malcolm was actually supposed to die,
Yeah.
but he actually changed his own. Michael Crichton, seeing how popular the movie was, actually changed it in that Ian Malcolm was still alive. He woke up in the hospital, still battered and bruised, but he actually changed his own story, kind of like retro changed his own story to fit
Mhm.
more with the movie. So, and then there's actually a lot more differences with the second movie than there was the first movie. The second movie has a whole nother subplot to it. Even the first Jurassic Park book had a lot of things going on that it doesn't show in the movie. For instance, in the book, the dinosaurs were already off the island, and that's something they're now
Mhm.
exploring. Finally, now just exploring in uh, the new movie coming out. Jurassic World Dominion. Um, but they're finally actually doing that. But it's in the book. It actually happened right away. They were starting to pop up. So it's kind of interesting because it kind of also shows how it throws off the whole ecosystem too.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. It was either the first or the second book. I don't know. I guess real briefly, I read both the books. They're both pretty good reads, honestly. I like the
Yeah,
first book a little more, but
yeah,
um, it was one of the books where there was they're investigating the Compsognathus. Initially they're
mhm,
saying, oh, it's a new species of basilisk lizard or something like
yeah.
that. And
That's
then
the
they
first book.
find like one of them getting eaten by like a monkey or something or a
Yeah.
big ape. I'm like, oh man, that'd been cool to see in a movie.
Is it true that the beginning of Lost World, the movie, was actually the beginning of the first Jurassic Park book?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. The only thing they changed was like the setting and the name of the girl, but yeah, that it plays out exactly like the Lost World beginning of the movie, but the only difference was in the book it was only one Compsognathus, not a group of them.
Hmm.
Also, there was the thing at the hospital where she drew a picture of it, and they're like, well, she's probably exaggerating. And they're like, no,
Hmm.
she's smart enough to draw
Yes.
exactly what she says. And they actually explain that the girl is very clever
Yeah,
and
and
whatnot.
that's the thing because the first thing the girl notices with the doctor, and what takes him aback is that she knows the doctor changed his shirt, and
Hmm.
even the doctor's like, "Huh, how'd you know that?" She goes, "Because I saw it. You had a different shirt on." And it explained he worked all night, so he had to change his shirt. And so then the doctor's even like, "Huh, well, if she gets these little details right, why did she make it look like this?" But then you realize no, she was telling the truth. It's a two-legged lizard
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
cocked its head like a bird does.
Yeah.
And then, actually, the scientists have said that the for something as big as the Tyrannosaurus Rex, its closest relative is the modern day chicken.
Wow.
So it makes me wonder, hey, if we went back into the time of the dinosaurs, would they, if we ate one, would it taste like chicken?
Mm.
I'm just wondering if the,
That's gotta be a thing in the next Jurassic Park movie. Exotic. I want a T-Rex steak. Give me a T-Rex T-bone, please. I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if they have even a little nod to that. I'd
like
love
the
that.
Flintstones were a rack of Bronto ribs or something like that.
Yeah.
Flintstones.
I'll have a
That'd be fun.
Triceratops tri-tip, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, I'm very excited. It's supposed to be it's the last one of the series because after this one, the rights of Jurassic Park, the franchise, actually revert back to the Crichton estate. Now he passed away,
Oh.
but it actually reverts back to his estate. That being said, there's been a long-standing rumor about it's probably going to get given back to Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg and Michael Crichton were actually very, very good friends throughout their entire lives. So they said it wouldn't not be surprised that they have like a hidden backdoor contract signing saying, well, we'll just give it back to Steven Spielberg and he can do whatever he wants with it, you know.
Hmm.
Because they have other, Michael Crichton made like what, the Andromeda Strain and a whole bunch of other books. He's the one who, and so he has a lot of like different properties and stuff like that. So wouldn't be surprised if like they just, go and sign it off to Steven Spielberg or Amblin or whichever. But let's see here. So all right, so moving on to the Lost World. What did you guys think of that sequel?
It was worthy.
Yes, worthy. Yes, there's some really great moments that I love in that.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
One of my favorite
Well, it was also done by Spielberg, so
yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters in the new one in the Lost World was Roland Timbo.
Oh,
And,
definitely.
the Great Hunter, and it
Peter
sucks because
Postlethwaite.
yep, rest in peace, great actor too. And one of the things that they cut out in the theoretical release, but they added it into like the deleted scenes, and also even on TV they included it. Was the scene, the background scene about Ajay coming, recruiting him,
yeah,
and he
that's
gets into the
one.
boss fight, and he kind of shows more of his character too, and it's like he pretty much has been around the world. He's hunted everything that can be hunted, and he pretty much just kind of gave up. He said it's no longer a sport; it's just a massacre now, and that's when you realize he gets convinced to hunt Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah. And such a great character. There's a lot of depth to him, So, and then towards the end there, he's mad. He's upset because his best friend dies, Ajay, and they offer him a job, and he's like, I've spent enough time in the company of death. So,
and at that time, he wasn't talking about hunters or anything. He was actually talking about the corporation.
Yeah, he was talking about corporations. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things, if I can go back to that scene for a moment that you were just talking about, it's the guy was being a very drunken idiot toward the waitress and basically harassing her and whatnot. And he just gets up and goes full British on him. He's like, "You, sir, are very uncivilized." And he's like, "I can take you one-handed." And oh my gosh, so he's lashing his arm behind his back. He's like, "I was talking about myself in one crack," and it's like, "Oh, damn!" That was just one of the best things ever. But yeah, Peter Postlethwaite played that character very, very well. I mean, there's times that he could be very cold. There's times that he could be very caring. And one of the cold moments was Rex just fed, so they won't be on our trip. And it's like, By
Yeah,
fat, I think you mean by it. It's like, yeah, well, then his problems are over.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Well,
he's a
for him, it's
pragmatist.
more survival, pretty much at that point. So
Exactly. He's a pragmatist, and
yeah,
he's not gonna bullshit you. He's gonna tell you that truth. He's not gonna freaking. He's not gonna
yeah,
try to be. Maybe around kids, he might be.
yeah,
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he might be compassionate, but in this situation, it's like compassion is the one thing you don't really want to be right now. This is
yeah,
called survival, and I'm the one
yeah,
that's gonna help you.
yeah, exactly.
Another thing that I really liked in that movie was when he was, or the guy that one of the guys that went with him, the one with the dart rifle, and
Uh huh.
he's telling him what it was filled with, which is the venom of a southern cone shell, which is the most poisonous thing on the face of this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Even today, it is, and
Yes.
it's like, or he's telling you how the muzzle velocity and the velocity of the dart, so the animal's down before it even feels the prick of the dart. And
Yeah.
then, what's his name? God damn it. Goldblum's character, Malcolm. He's like, "Is there an antidote?" Like, wait, like if you shot yourself in the foot, don't do that. You'd be dead before you realized you had an accident. And it's just that was one of the best lines in that entire movie. It's like, "Is there an antidote?" What you mean? Like if you shot yourself in the foot, don't do that. You'd be dead before you realized you had an
Another
accident.
really good little dialogue piece was between Ian Malcolm and Eddie Carr. They're getting ready to go to the island. He's telling them about the high hide. Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, you go up and you hide." And he's like, "Yeah, well, you're going to put us in convenient fighting range." It's like,
Yeah, that one was. He's like, yeah, and then freaking Vince Vaughn's character comes in to
yeah,
go on this wild goose chase. Yeah, well, this is one place where the geese chase you.
yeah,
Oh my god, man. They had great casting in that movie. I swear
yes.
they
They
really
had
did.
they had very good chemistry in that movie.
Yep, it was just so freaking well done. And oh god, what's her name? I'm blanking on her name.
Sarah Harding.
The actress who played her.
Oh, yeah, she. Oh, crap! I can't even remember right now.
Mm-hmm.
Crap.
Ah, crap. Yeah,
I just remember Boogie Nights, but Joey M. Moore.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I
Joey M.
mean,
Moore.
Richard Attenborough was also great in that one. Even
Oh,
or
he is.
the beginning
Yeah,
and end, both parts or scenes that he was in was just so. I mean, he
yeah.
basically stole the damn movie right in
Mm-hmm.
both
Oh, yeah,
scenes.
yeah,
But I also like the scene where you see Lex and Timmy come back and they have their little moment with Malcolm, and then
yeah,
Malcolm's talking with uh, Hammond's nephew,
yeah. Louisville.
and yeah, and you learn exactly what happened of how or the troubles that Hammond had gone through, how he was called a nut, how his reputation was destroyed, and he's like, "You signed a non-disclosure agreement," and he's like, "I'd never took a cent,
Yeah,
and that's why I was not bound by the non-disclosure agreement." But InGen was too
right.
powerful, so they still made him look like a nut.
Yeah, exactly. He lost his tenure and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
I mean, it just goes to show you. And he's like, InGen is now my responsibility, and I will
yes,
jealously defend its interests. And it's like, yeah, I wouldn't, or the only way to deal with somebody like this is to get him eaten. So,
yeah,
and I just love
and
how
yeah,
right after that scene where the things go over the cliff and the Rexes are
right.
gone, he's like, every time you try to sound like Hammond, you just sound like, it comes off as a hustle. But you know
Yeah,
what? They say the talent skips a generation, so I'm pretty sure your kids are going to be sharp as tacks. And then later on, when he monumentally screws up by well, we already know what's going on later.
yeah,
He's like, now you're John Hammond.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
It was just great.
But and it's kind of funny because you know um that's another thing I think like that movie. The first one again, it's about like man's reach and you know genetically engineered versus natural, that kind of thing. The second movie is more, I think, about just corporate greed in general, and like how it just ends up, pretty moch dooming a lot of people just for a profit, just for an extra cent.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of allegory
Yeah.
in movies, and there is a principal allegorical message in each of the movies, including the
Yes.
third one. But we'll get into
Yes.
that when we get to that movie.
Yeah.
The second, and you basically said it right off. The first one was how far is too far when it comes to ethics and etiquette
Yes.
in science, and the second one is or how far is too far when it comes to corporations making money.
Yeah.
Do you sacrifice the human aspect, or do you sacrifice lives to make money, or do you actually have some sort of moral high ground so that you know when to cut your losses?
Yeah.
Well, InGen doesn't know how to cut losses.
No.
Also, I don't know if you guys heard about this recently, but the character of Dodson from the first movie.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Oh,
yeah, he's coming back. Not the same actor. Not the same actor.
That's fine.
The same that actor is currently doing time right now, but
yeah, pretty big charges on that one.
Yeah, they got Bruce Greenwood, I think, playing him now.
Yeah. Yep. And for those who don't know, in the books, Dodson has a lot more to do with what's going on. He works for a company called Biosyn, and he literally, and this shows in the book, it shows kind of like the type of person Dodson is. He literally allows a type of strain of genetically engineered rabies to be unleashed on this farming community. Like that's literally in the book. So it's like when a lot of people were confused. Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people, they didn't go into much background about Dodson in the movie, because when Nedry's like, pointing at him, jokingly saying, "Oh, Dodson, we got Dodson here," and nobody cared. But that's what he was kind of like a wanted criminal. But the thing was, because it was done in international territories, they couldn't charge him. So,
I mean, the thing is, Dodson at that moment when Nedry was just doing that, Dodson, we got Dodson. It's like, notice how he tenses up and goes like very stoic. It's like,
oh, guys, be right back. One second.
Yeah, right now he is. Yeah. Right now, he's basically weighing his options on whether or not he should kill Nedry in that scene.
Wow.
And it's basically that's how dark that character was, but it really wasn't expanded upon too much because, well, they never really gave anything else to it. But yeah, now that they got him coming back, I think it's great. Now, but where were we in? Or yeah, we're still on. We're in the second one now.
Yeah, there was a part of that movie, a scene. I think it's right before they let loose all the captured dinosaurs, and it's Ludlow, and he's talking to he's either doing a pre-recorded, or I guess he is because it was back then, but he's recording his business proposition. And he's talking about, we have this Coliseum. San Diego is accustomed to large animals such as the SeaWorld and the Wild Animal Park and the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah.
I always love that part because I live down in San Diego County.
Oh,
so I really do like a lot of what happens in that movie.
Yeah. So my favorite part with the T-Rex doing the rampage was they have police coming plus animal control. They see him and roars and they just back out there. They're like, nope.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we got to call out some wild animal. Then the damn, or just roars. It's like, yeah, we're out. You guys are on your own. I love the part where the female's getting a drink. Because it is the mom, right? It was the mother
it's actually the dad.
I think it's the male.
Yeah, the green one, which is what he is dad. The more brown one is.
It was the patriarch.
Yep.
Now, I just love when he's at the pool and the dog's barking at him, and it's like, and the dog drags its little dog house keeps on barking, and then the freaking T-Rex is like, "Shut up." and the dog just goes to it. But then you see all the family in the house coming out, and then they look out the window and you see the aftermath of of that little interaction, and it's the patriarch's just like, oh, this is just so delicious. Snap goes the doghouse, and then the kid just takes a picture, and it's like, what the hell are you doing? I wish I had cutting equipment, because I would basically do a freaking POV of the Rex in that scene. It's like, oh, I'm so freaking thirsty. What the hell are you? Shut up. Okay, and then the next scene is like, okay, that little noisy little brat tastes good. What the heck is that? Get out of there! What the heck? Oh gosh, it was just so
that
scene.
Awesome. That scene reminds me of Transformers, that first Transformers movie. Optimus Prime touches down. He's like, there's a scene where he's like near a house or a pool or something, and like a little girl comes out, and she's like, "Are you the Tooth Fairy?" Or what was that?
That was not Optimus. That was
Ironhide.
Ironhide. All right.
He's like, excuse me, you're the Tooth Fairy. Oh, that was just.
That's great.
I actually liked Michael Bay's first Transformers movie.
Yeah, the first one was
a solid movie, I'd say.
Yeah, the first one was excellent because they had a lot of good,
but it was still decent.
Well, it had a lot of good little hints that fans remember, like from the TV series. So it did have that, but then it just went. The other movies just went in a completely crazy direction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, Devastator teabagging a pyramid.
Oh yeah. Giant wrecking ball.
It didn't even look right. Like, that's not the Devastator I remember. I mean, it's a lot more imposing.
Obviously, you can't make you can't make them all look alike or look exactly alike. But one of the cool things, or I just want to touch on this, and then we'll get back to Jurassic Park, was one of the cool things I learned from the special features was sending just a small fragment of his transformation to the Devastator would fry a computer.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, I did hear that. I remember that.
They showed a little thing. They're like, yeah, we're going to send you a Devastator scene or a Devastator file, this and that. And then they have the camera panned over to his friend. You see that poof of black smoke go up, and then you see the keyboard got fried. It's like, what on earth? Please tell me that's a joke, because if it's not, oh my god. But
yeah, I do remember that.
That was, oh my gosh.
And actually, speaking of computer CGI, one of the very interesting things, and you guys brought up about this too, about in the first movie, the animatronic Rex and CGI Rex were spot on. The reason too why the effects looked a lot better even back in '93 was they didn't have the artificial lighting that you would digitally put into a movie. So they had to use the real lighting, the real world lighting, to actually put in with the CGI. So it forced the developers to really look at detail, because if any part of the CGI was off lighting wise, it would look completely fake. So because they used real world lighting and they didn't digitally enhance the lighting, like the atmosphere and that type of thing, it looked more natural. Now with movies, to make it easier on the CGI devs and like the animators, they also digitally do the lighting in the environment.
Yeah, but even then, nowadays, when you're doing digital lighting, it still doesn't come across very well.
Oh no, it doesn't. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's why that movie looks so good, even all these years later. But T-Rex Rampage in the second movie, that was a highlight. And it really actually was a tribute to the Lost World, the
Mm.
old story about how they brought the dinosaur back and it ran amok. I think the original silent film was a brontosaurus. I think. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So like it was a little homage to that movie. And
Speaking of,
also, Did you notice what the ship was that brought the T Rex?
The Venture.
Yes,
yeah,
Yes.
and that's what
it was,
brought Kong to uh, civilization.
Mm.
So
yep.
another little hint, homage kind of thing. And then when the T Rex was rampaging around, did you notice the Japanese guys?
Yeah.
Running
Oh
away?
yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
I noticed that initially. I'm like, that's great.
Godzilla. Yeah,
Yeah,
there were also members of the crew that were getting eaten. The guy that tried to make it into the video store actually was
yes,
part of the crew of the movie.
yep,
Oh,
yeah. They call
wow.
in the credits. He's titled "Unlucky Bastard."
Oh damn! They
That in
actually
the
did
credits,
that.
that's what he's titled as.
That's great.
Oh
Unlucky
wow!
bastard.
Oh wow! That is awesome.
Yeah.
But I do like how the father or the patriarch was teaching its boy how to hunt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like at the last moment
Mhm.
when Denaro gets, or not Denaro, but what was his name?
Ludlow.
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 Ludlow. Yeah, Ludlow actually finally bites it. It's like
Yeah.
the baby Rex is looking up at his dad like, can I? And he's like,
Yeah.
go ahead. This
Yeah.
is your kill. This is your very first kill.
Yeah.
And then you just see the pride on that
Yeah.
father's face. It's just
It's
like,
like, that's my boy.
that's my boy. Good boy. That's how you
Yeah.
do it. And then
Yeah.
you see
Pretty much.
later on, you see it with all the other dinosaurs on Nublar. Sorna, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just so great.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Hammond finally getting control back from InGen because Ludlow made a monumental screw up. It's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we need to get Hammond back in here. And he's like,
Yeah.
these creatures require our absence.
Right.
And if we can just step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way. Oh,
Right.
damn, the spider I'm sitting next to just lost its food.
Oh.
It was munching on one of those little beetle thingies.
Mm.
And now it just drops it. It's like, oh, all right, that sucks for you. And you just lost another one. Okay.
All right. All right. So let's chug along into the third movie, Jurassic Park 3. Now, this is probably one of the more controversial movies in the franchise. And it's not necessarily controversial because of the T-Rex and Spinosaurus fight, but more because it kind of didn't add anything to the series. I think that's what a lot of people complained about. Really, because it's just them trying to rescue their kid.
It was a cash grab, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't add that much new to the series.
Yeah, because they basically already explained in the first one that if people paid attention, raptors are exceptionally intelligent.
Oh yeah.
And I like that they brought back Grant. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
And I love at the Q&A, they're like, or everybody raises their hand. Does anybody have questions not pertaining to Jurassic Park or San Diego, which I did not witness? Then there's a multitude of hands that just go down. He's like, yes, please. And there's like, wouldn't you want to, or didn't you want to go over to the island and at least study them? And he's like, nothing on Earth or heaven or earth could get me on that island.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, Hammond, yeah, or not Hammond, Grant, we are like dying here. We need money. And then they just show up with Kirby Enterprise.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was.
And then it's not even a real corporation. It's
Yeah.
Again, there were some parts I did like. I liked how they actually finally introduced the Pteranodon, because that was one of my favorites growing up.
That was good.
Teased that in the second movie, but fully realized
that was a beautiful shot of that Pteranodon at the end of Lost World. But just so unnerving just seeing just the dead look of those pteranodons
Yeah,
during that scene. Like, oh gosh.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love how they're like, it's a bird cage, and then they're like, for what? And it's like,
Mhm.
oh. Then automatically it's like, well, what's the one flying reptile that we've heard of?
Yeah.
Pteranodons, but then they also brought in the other ones in the later or in
Oh,
world,
yeah.
but
Yes,
we'll get
world, yeah,
to that later.
dimorphodons.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Morphodons. Oh crap! One of the things I wanted to say about Jurassic Park 1 back when there
Uh-huh.
is one dinosaur that their version of the Velociraptor actually looks like that, and it's the Deinonychus.
Yeah.
Yeah, dinonicus.
That
Yeah,
is
Deinonychus.
that
Yeah.
was the actual
yeah,
design
that was the
for.
inspiration. Yeah,
I
It's
mean, the
interesting.
Utahraptor size, but the Deinonychus shape and look.
Like, it's
exactly.
interesting. I play Jurassic World or Jurassic Park Evolution or whatever,
Yeah,
that
uh-huh.
newer park builder game, and they
Yeah,
have the Velociraptor, then they have the Deinonychus, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, well, that's nice. That's interesting.
yeah,
As separate dinosaurs. It's like,
yeah,
okay, cool. Hmm.
yeah. Actually, the Velociraptor in real life has one of the most famous fossils ever found. It was a fight between a Velociraptor
Mm.
and a Protoceratops, and
Oh,
it if you ever get to look it up, it's the arm of the raptor is literally being crunched by the Protoceratops's beak, and like they're struggling in the sand, and they figure a sand, like they got buried by sand or something or mud, and they literally stayed in that spot, and it looks like it's literally a picture in time of this fight between a Protoceratops and a Velociraptor. Yeah,
that must have happened just as the asteroid hit.
yeah, it's like one of the most complete finds of two fossils together they ever found.
Mm.
And that's the other thing too. Many fossils, you don't find the whole thing. Actually, you find
Nope.
very little of a fossil. You might find maybe 20% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and thinking, oh, I want to be a paleontologist. I mean, that was back in like elementary school. Eventually, I was like, I don't really want to do that now. But man,
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty cool to try to do, but they run into more failures than they do
yeah.
anything else because again, you're looking for these fossils that may or may not even exist. You have to know where to go. You have to have the funding for it. It's really in depth, you know. And but another thing in the third Jurassic Park movie um, was introduction of the Spinosaurus.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now I've heard of the Spinosaurus beforehand. Um, it was found in Egypt
And
back when.
Spinosaurus egypticus.
Yeah, yeah, and it mostly, according many scientists speculate, because of where it was found, ate fish, and it also had a crocodile-like snout.
Mm.
Hmm. Like the Suchomimus.
Yeah,
Mm.
Suchomimus,
Mhm.
Baryonyx, and the Spinosaurus all had crocodile-like snouts to them.
Yep.
Mm.
And
Baryonyx is the one dinosaur with the most teeth.
yep,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Mm.
So if it, um, and another funny thing is there's actually a few predators they found that were just as big, if not maybe slightly bigger than the T Rex. Giganotosaurus,
Hmm.
Spinosaurus, Suchomimus was pretty big.
Carcharodontosaurus. That's
Diplodocus,
another
yeah,
in that
yeah.
size range, at least.
Yeah, size range. Tyrannosaurus Rex isn't necessarily the biggest, but
Hmm.
he's the most popular.
Yeah. Mm.
And if you really look at the name itself, Tyrant Lizard King, I mean, it just rolls off your tongue like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the perfect name, kind of.
Hmm.
because now you get dinosaur names because all the easy ones were taken, as the one
Yeah.
scientist once said. All the easy names are taken. Now it's all kinds of names, and especially ones that are found like in China and Korea. They get really kind of complicated.
Like, just looking at just with Jurassic World Evolution, there's some
Yeah,
dinosaurs like where I'm like, I don't know how to say that. Like Huyangosaurus. I'm like, oh gosh,
yeah,
okay. I'm just gonna say, okay, this spike tail
yeah,
dinosaur, that one, okay. I'm just gonna move on because I'm like, holy cow.
yeah. But oh yeah. Another thing too, like with Jurassic Park 3, um, was it kind of showed too that um, and we kind of already figured this, but it looked like instead of just incubating eggs, they would incubate like dinosaurs through like those test tube kind of
Mm,
ways too.
hmm.
And so it was more like, again, Al Grant says this is how you play God.
This is, or
You're
they weren't just incubating eggs; they were actually, from the looks of it, they were enhancing or working on enhancement after birth.
Oh. So that could explain some of the differences in like the appearances of the raptors, maybe,
yeah,
possibly. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
Those
actually,
raptors look freaking scary in that too.
well, here's a fun little thing. So in between Jurassic World, and I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but I'm going because it's related to Jurassic Park 3.
Mm-hmm.
In between Jurassic World and the Fallen Kingdom, they put out a lot of lore stuff. The Universal Studios did, in like memos and stuff like that, through what was called the Dinosaur Protection Agency. We'll get into that
Mm,
a bit later. That was a little promo they did for the Fallen Kingdom. It worked pretty well. It acted like they were a real like agency. But going back to Jurassic Park 3, what they kind of released into the into circulation was the fact that the Spinosaurus was essentially the first hybrid dinosaur they made. It
mm,
wasn't. It was supposed to be a mix of Spinosaurus and other dinosaurs. They also stated that it was essentially prodded and almost tortured
ugh,
to see
mm,
what kind of reaction it would get. That's why it got to the point where it wanted to just kill anything that moved. You know.
mm. That's pretty neat. That's
Yeah.
I've heard like little bits of that, but obviously
Yeah.
not that last bit there. That's some
Yeah.
interesting info. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. They did like a big, kind of world building kind of thing in between Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom to try to give, give like fans and also audience a bit more insight what happened in between the movies, like especially in between Jurassic Park 3 and the Jurassic World,
Hmm.
because it was over 20 years, 20
Oh
almost 20
yeah,
years. It was a long
definitely.
time. So um all right, so going from Jurassic Park 3, obviously we have a giant gap. Jurassic Park 3 really didn't do well at the box office, didn't do well
Hmm.
in the public's eye, so they pretty much shelved the franchise. Then all of a sudden, Jurassic World came out. Jurassic World actually beat out expectations and made over $1 billion, and it was
Wow.
only tracking to make maybe 500 million. That was
Hmm.
what was tracking, but what they had not factored in was so many people who are now adults that had families of their own. They took their little kids to see it because they wanted to experience it with their kids, how their parents, took them to see the first Jurassic Park. So they kind of
Hmm.
underestimated that, and they actually like really beat out expectations, and that's what made them want to make, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, now Jurassic World Dominion. Now, there's actually been a bit of controversy with the naming of the movie Jurassic World. A lot of people
Oh.
actually thought uh, it was actually a slight against SeaWorld because right before Jurassic World came
Mm,
out, they had that documentary Blackfish. You ever
Blackfish, yeah. I've heard of
where
that. I've never
about
watched it personally. Yeah.
uh, it's it's one of those documentaries I can't really tell if it was made without bias because it seems like it was, but
Yeah.
I can't tell. But a lot of people actually thought that's what they were doing the allegory for, was, what the incident that happened at SeaWorld, the trainer being killed.
Yeah.
And a lot of people actually thought that's why they renamed it Jurassic World. Well, in general, Steven Spielberg and Colin Trevorrow actually had decided on that years earlier about naming it Jurassic World instead of Jurassic Park 4.
I think it's a logical evolution of the name, honestly.
Yeah.
Jurassic World, it's a more modern kind of thing. Yeah, I think it
Exactly.
makes sense. Yeah.
And so what I liked about that movie was the fact that it was a fully functional park. Like, it actually was Hammond's dream. Like, it came to fruition, and that was just so cool. Like, it was set up like an actual resort / amusement park. They showed, they showed the, they had kiddie rides where you got to ride baby dinosaurs. They had, a full
Yeah.
fledged, like, downtown area. They had, if you saw it, they had people rowing canoes while dinosaurs were drinking out of the water right beside them.
That's so cool. Yeah, I
That's what I
remember
mean.
that.
That was so cool about
Wow.
that movie. It was a fully functional park finally. They actually
Hmm.
kind of show, and it showed that, like, the park had been open for a pretty long time,
Hmm.
but because of dwindling sales, again, they wanted new and better dinosaurs. Well, then they made the hybrid. But as you kind of come to find out, they made the hybrid more for weaponization
Hmm.
than getting ticket seats. So
Wasn't there like a little throwaway line? Now I can't remember it exactly, but it's like the Indominus Rex brought to you by Verizon or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, because they,
I
they were
like
trying
that
to get,
line.
yeah, they were trying to get sponsors because, again, the sales were dwindling. They said that, like, but anytime they opened a new dinosaur attraction, sales would triple. But they were trying to get the money to actually open, do more research for a new dinosaur. So that's why they were looking at sponsors, kind of like how
Hmm.
baseball stadiums,
Yeah.
are. And one of the great things I liked about this movie was actually Claire's character. Um, she goes through a lot of character development where at first she just sees them not as actual animals or even living things, but as, assets. They were
Yeah.
just for the park. They were just to make money. And then you get to the scene with the Apatosaurus, and it dies, and she realizes, no, these are actually, living
Hmm.
creatures. A, a really good. I think they did a very good job with her story arc.
Yeah, I
Oh
thought
yeah.
it was pretty well done. I mean, you could kind of, as it began, I kind of assumed, okay, she's gonna go through this obvious character arc. She's gonna become like, okay, sympathetic. But I was pretty satisfied with how it went, how it
Yeah,
worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, she went from a corporate stooge to a person with a heart.
yeah,
Hmm.
and that's even, and it's kind of like almost John Hammond's transformation from Jurassic Park 1 to Jurassic Park 2,
Yeah,
where even Malcolm tells him, you went from being capitalist to a naturalist. You know,
in record time.
yeah,
Well, Claire actually beat Hammond's record.
yeah, exactly.
And it's I do like the Raptors though. Blue, Echo, Delta, Charlie,
Yeah,
and I mean those ones were pretty cool. And
yeah.
friggin' Vince D'Onofrio's character was just, oh
Private
my
Plan.
gosh. He's like, I'm on your side. You're a good
Yeah,
little
yeah, he's like, Chomp.
I was like, oh, like, yeah. Why the
his
hell did you
story
think that was
about
a good idea? I
his
mean,
story
honestly,
about the wolf cub and like or the wolf pup or whatever.
Yeah,
Now bit off or it ripped into his ex-wife's arm or something.
yeah,
yeah,
That was great.
to put it down? Hell no. We had a bond. It's like,
yeah,
seriously? I'm
yeah,
sorry, but that
Yeah.
dog tastes of blood. It's dead.
yeah. Well, did you also notice too? They in Jurassic World, they tweaked the design of the raptors. They were made a lot more muscular, like heavy
Oh.
and heavy
Yeah.
too.
Hmm.
Whereas, like, you look at the first generation, they're very slim and sleek, and they,
Hmm.
but these ones are more or less built for, killing. Because,
Hmm.
again, the whole project that Owen's working on is to pretty much domesticate them and then use them to hunt down, whomever,
Yeah. Imagine
But
if they had those boys during Bin Laden's day.
yeah. But
Probably
they even
wouldn't
say
have made it out the first game.
but that was the thing. They even say though, how Masrani, who took over for John Hammond, they even state that like he's so diversified he doesn't even know what he owns. And that's why they have that military arm, the military contracts, pretty much.
Yeah. Spare no expense and whatnot. I just recently saw a movie with him in it. It was Inferno.
Yeah, he just passed away.
Wait, that actor just passed away?
Really?
Yeah, the actor just passed away.
Man, that's sad.
What?
Yeah, he had cancer. He was in the they had a funeral and all that in India for him.
What was his name?
Oh, I can't pronounce his name.
Somebody look it up.
Hold on.
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Yeah, he was also in like Slumdog Millionaire, and he's a really big Indian actor.
Now I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, I can't
Irfan Khan. I
Irfan
don't
Khan.
know if I said that right, but yeah,
Irfan Khan.
Khan. Yeah.
Yep.
I do love that though. It's like, sure, sir, you think, or don't you think we should get somebody else? We don't need nobody else.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Playing the hero, and yet, it's like you're playing the hero. You're gonna die horribly.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing about this movie. This movie, the basic plot. If you look at the basic plot of the Lost World, Jurassic World, it's actually very reminiscent of a B movie monster movie, just with a bigger budget. Well, think about it. There's this monster. He starts killing people. Nobody else can stop it. So what do? You release other monsters to go fight it. It's like the
monsters versus aliens.
Yeah. Yep. And it was still done really well. Love how like they had that gyrosphere. That was pretty cool.
that was something I did not expect. I was like, wow.
Oh,
you're talking about the aerie or whatever they call it, the aerie.
Yeah, it's a gyrosphere. That's the thing the kids ride in.
Little drivable balls.
It looks like a hamster.
Oh yeah. Oh, that thing. Yeah, the gyrosphere. Yeah.
I mean, I could only imagine how much one of those machines, if that was a real life thing, that would be like such an expensive thing to do. I bet, to make. I guess.
Well,
yeah, Maserati goes to look at the Indominus, and Claire's telling him about it. It's like, what happened to the sibling? She ate it. And then she just smiles at him. It's like kind of like a nervous smile. It's like, I would. It's like, and she's like, do you think it will frighten the kids? Kids? That'll give the adults nightmares. Is that good? It's fantastic. It's like, oh my god, dude, you're thinking way too much about money when you don't even know what you have. I mean, that thing could basically cloak like a predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it even says that they sees with heat. It has like so that it's kind of like a predator moment, like where they realize it can camouflage. That was pretty cool. I was like,
Oh, I love the escape when it, right when it kind of breaks out of its enclosure. Seeing them run away and then actually seeing the dinosaur just kind of break through the door. Oh,
yeah, the concrete door. Yeah.
Oh, did you guys see the deleted scene for when or after they were going over the footage of it, or before everything went to hell?
No.
Maserati was in the command center while the guy was talking about how everything was going shitty and whatnot, and then it's like, wait, roll that back again, and you see a picture of the Indominus cloak or literally shutting off its body heat on the thermal camera.
Yeah.
And it just basically goes completely invisible.
Yep.
And it's like,
Whoa.
oh, damn. And that is what led to the scene of him going down to confront Wu.
Yeah.
And is like, I never wanted a monster. He's like, monster is a relative term. To a canary, a cat is a monster. We're just used to being the cat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they really evolved Dr. Wu's character to like almost like a Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein
Dude,
kind of.
they totally corrupted Wu. I mean,
Yeah.
back in the first Jurassic Park movie, he was. I do not think he was corrupt at all.
He was
No,
such a nice man.
Exactly,
Such a nice man.
he was a good character and whatnot. However brief, but now in freaking Jurassic World, it's like all he cares about is money, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, is our deal still intact? It's like, you'll get what's coming to you. I'm like, oh my god, they're about to kill him.
well, well, actually, that's more in line with his character in the book
Mm.
because
Also,
in the book, Wu actually goes to Hammond and he talks about enhancing the dinosaurs even further, saying that he can make them better. And Hammond kind of shuts the idea down. It's like, look, they're dinosaurs, good enough, wow, enough.
Yeah.
So, like, and
we
then
don't need to go any further than what we have because what we
Yeah.
have is good enough.
yeah. But so like it kind of goes more into like his character kind of evolves more of like his book character, where he just sees everything as not enough. He needs to make it better, kind of thing. And
Perfection.
it's but I like how also that conversation that Maserati has with Wu, and they're talking about how the whole time Maserati wanted things to be more scary or more teeth, and he's like, I just did what you told me to do, and it's like you cannot have the exaggerated predatory features without the actual being a predator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like you can't have this without this because this is what happens. You can't change, or we haven't gotten to that point where we can take out behavioral patterns. It just doesn't work that way.
No.
And so learning that Wu's character is basically like that, it's kind of good that they actually made him more connected or more book-wise instead of just because, yeah. And I'm hearing it. Damn.
Now in the book, like he actually dies.
Oh, that was a great scene in the book.
Oh yeah.
Holding his own entrails after getting slashed open by a raptor.
He gets pulled out the door by a raptor, and he literally gets eaten alive, pretty much. Yeah. But actually, another thing too was they when Owen's talking about like when he's going to visit the Indominus Rex, he's talking about how certain animals raised in captivity aren't always functional. They don't know what they are, that type of thing. Someone did a very good analysis about that, and they argued because the Indominus was part raptor. Raptors are social animals in the Jurassic Park franchise. So by being raised in isolation, it probably kind of went nuts. It didn't know what to do with itself. So, and that being a genetic hybrid, it's part. They actually list off it's not just part Rex and part Raptor. It's actually a bunch of other dinosaurs as well. And so, like, essentially, well, and that's kind of true in the real world. When people first started setting up zoos, they weren't really good with animal behaviors, and a lot of animals would attack feeders. They would try to commit suicide. They would try to break barriers and stuff like that. What they didn't realize is certain social behaviors need to be provided.
Yep. I mean, when you have a lion by itself, that's not good for a lion. It needs pride, especially a male. It needs like 2 to 3 females. Gorillas, you can't just have one gorilla by itself. That thing will die of depression, quite literally.
Yes.
I mean, that's why a lot of people are saying
wolves are in pack.
Yep, wolves are needed in packs and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
That's why when people get dogs, it's like, or get a dog, it's like, sure, some dogs can be good as loners, but you really need to get more than one because they are social. They can't just socialize with humans. They need to also socialize with others.
Yeah, that's why my parents always have 3,
Yeah.
because they actually teach each other also behavior too.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And
But
one of the things that was just cute to see, where most people would say it was cute to see, but I thought it was just a little over the top, was that kid giggling his little giggity, all giggity and whatnot, while he's riding a baby Triceratops. I'm like,
yeah, actually,
that's
you know,
abuse.
fun fact,
Yeah,
that's
I don't know
actually
if I'd ride one of those.
that's actually Bryce Dallas Howard's actual son.
Oh,
Cute.
that's cool.
Yeah,
But I still wouldn't let the kid ride a dang dinosaur.
I mean, I could understand a petting zoo. I could
Yeah, a
understand
petting
that,
zoo,
but actually
sure, but
riding
not
the
a
things, I'm like, whoa, okay.
yeah, not a
I
riding
think
zoo.
even a petting zoo would kind of be dangerous.
That
I
would
mean,
be, yeah, it'd have
yeah,
to be some, yeah.
Then the Dominus Rex gets all loose and then gets into the what do they call that? The flying dinosaurs
Oh,
area.
the aviary, I think.
Aviary, there you go.
yeah,
Aviary or the aviary and whatnot, and then all the Dimorphodons and the Pteranodons get loose.
yeah.
Oh, that,
And it's just like,
oh,
oh,
You know,
damn.
doomsday.
when that scene happened, all I can think about was the Indominus Rex was probably like, "Fly, my pretties," you know, like the Wicked Witch of the West.
What were you saying?
That's all I could think of. I'm like, I was humming that song in my head. Dun, 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 you know,
Oh no, yeah. But then, or you see all those freaking Dimorphodons just munching on the sausages,
Oh,
and
oh
other
yeah,
ones going after the humans, and then the one that picks up the kid's babysitter
oh yeah.
and
That was
whatnot.
a long, drawn out scene.
that scene, I was pretty mixed on that scene when I first saw it. Now I'm like, okay, they're just having a lot of fun with it. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was like, whoa, sucks to be her.
I
Oh
mean, I
yeah.
really did. I loved how that woman went out.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just insult to injury. It's just like she gets picked up by a Pteranodon. Pteranodon puts her in the freaking Mosasaurus pool.
Closure. Yeah.
Yeah, enclosure, and then the Pteranodon's pulling her up basically, and then comes up big old Moses and
Yeah.
just munches her, and the Pteranodon too, and it's like,
Yeah. Both.
oh damn! I mean, did you see the inside of that thing's mouth? It's all
Yeah.
teeth. That
Yeah.
woman just got stabbed to death.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's yikes.
yeah. With the Mosasaur, its whole purpose in the movie is to eat everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically it's like, oh look, food. Oh,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh wait, this isn't my normal tasty morsel. Let me go get a taste.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh, then they go after the freaking Dominus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then then freaking Bryce Dallas Howard gets all sweaty and looking
Oh,
all hot
yeah.
and whatnot, and pulls a flare for the T Rex, and it's like,
Yeah.
follow me, honey. And I'm like,
Yeah. Well, what's more amazing, she can run that fast in heels.
I know, right? It's like,
Yeah.
she has heels on. I mean, it would have made more sense if she actually pulled the heels off.
Yeah. 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 A lot of people said that.
Now that T-Rex, that's supposed to be the T-Rex from the first Jurassic Park,
Yes,
right?
it is. It was confirmed.
Pretty,
Yes.
it's kind of old. It's
Yeah.
pretty old one.
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
just the stride of a T-Rex
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
pretty big.
you got to be really good at running in heels. You got a chance. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
no, like another fun thing was in in the movie, like you notice the little Jaws reference where that's what they feed the mosasaur was a great white shark.
Oh yeah, that was
I wonder
definitely
how
Spielberg and
can
Trevorrow having fun by putting Bruce
Yeah.
as
are they cloning
horse.
great white sharks?
I mean, I'm willing to bet that if you actually would have measured out that shark, it would have been a 25-foot shark.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Well, and fun fact: the mosasaur is it's most closely related to modern day monitor lizards.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So they think it swam like that too, like the serpentine kind of swimming.
That's interesting. I mean, I would have pegged chronosaurs to be a little bit more different than chronosaurs to be more. No, chronosaurs are more croc looking, I think.
Yeah, they always have like a longer snout.
Yeah, mosasaurs. Oh, but I love the fight between the mosasaur, the T Rex, the Indominus Rex, and the Urin Blue.
Yeah.
That was
great.
Yeah. And then they're all at the edge of the mosasaur pen, and they're all like, they all just start yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And then big old freaking Mo comes right out and like,
He's like, oh, food.
It's like, my lunch.
Yeah.
It was just so great. And then
I always feel they probably don't feed the mosasaur enough.
yeah. I mean, now that it's been confirmed that T Rex was the same one from number 1,
Yes.
and it's like now I'm wondering, why is it letting Blue live? I mean, that thing was not very kind to those other raptors in the first movie.
Well,
But
the argument could be,
like, you're not going to kill me, are you?
the argument I usually use is like it's already bruised and battered. It just wants to, walk away at this point and lick its wounds.
Yeah. I also like that small moment between Blue and Owen when the Indominus is tasking the raptors to attack, and she looks and kind of gives a purring acknowledgement to Owen, like, you're my alpha. It's like, you're my alpha. And then she just screeches in defiance at the Indominus, and the Indominus is like, nope, smack. It's like, yeah, know your place, bitch.
I gotta say, I liked Chris Pratt in that movie. It's a pretty good role for him.
He did very well. I mean, his acting was one of the best parts of that movie, where he's loading himself up with gasoline, and then he just goes right into the command center. Sir, you're not authorized to be here. What happened out there? Did you not see what happened? That thing marked up that wall as a distraction. We are talking about an animal here. Oh my God. It's like, seriously, after all the stuff that you just saw go on from your little command center, you're saying that that's just an animal.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. You are a special kind of stupid, aren't you?
Well, that's the thing when it comes to
the phone, please.
and that's the thing when it comes to that. It's again, she's just seeing them as nothing more than animals, assets, money makers, not even putting much thought into how they think or how they feel.
Exactly, and it was only until, like you said, the Apatosaurus, or was it the Apatosaurus?
Yeah, the Apatosaurus.
Yeah, the one that was killed up for sport, carved up by Indominus.
Yep.
I do like that scene where it's the Indominus versus the Ankylosaurus, and the thing hits it, and then it just breaks its neck. I'm like, holy cow!
Yeah, it shows you that this thing is
that good.
Yeah, it shows you that this thing is really smart, but also has a sadistic side to it.
Yeah.
And then then the kids are freaking out upside down, and then they look out the window and they see the eye, and it's like, "Hello, children."
Those kids, they were all right. I like the younger kid, and he's like, near the end of the movie, he's like, "We need more teeth," and Claire's like, "What? We need more teeth."
Yeah. I mean, he was basically, if you really truly pay attention to that, he was actually counting the teeth of the Indominus and the teeth of the Velociraptor. He's like, "We need more teeth. We need more teeth." The kid is autistic. I swear to God, that kid came off as autistic in my eyes. I mean, how he's numbering how many miles it is to and how many minutes to the airport and whatnot, and then he's going through all the mathematical statistics of the entire island.
You know, that makes sense when you say it like that. Yeah.
It's like, do you know how many or how much does the island weigh? A lot. But how many pounds? It's like, seriously? How many? You're asking how many pounds? It's like about a few trillion pounds. I don't know.
That kid was pretty fun. The brother was fine. He was like, okay. He's like, okay, pretty boy. He likes the girls. Okay, yeah.
Wasn't he the
I
same
like the
kid
little
that was in
brother.
Iron Man 3?
Yeah, he was, and he was in
Endgame.
Endgame. Yeah, Endgame.
Yeah, he was at the
I
funeral.
remember
For
seeing him and thinking, who is that kid? But yeah.
So, your overall thoughts of Jurassic World? What were they?
I thought it was a good movie. The first
Yep.
first World was, yeah. That one was a pretty well put together movie.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty well done, especially for a franchise that was at one point pretty much extinct.
Mm-hmm.
After the third movie.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, totally. A solid kind of breath of fresh air into the franchise, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it needed, really. But did you notice also how it went kind of full circle in a sense, where in the first movie, Alan Grant was trying to convince like Lex that, these weren't monsters, they're just big animals. But then now in Jurassic World, they made something completely unnatural, completely alien to this world, and practically is a monster, and it's like kind of went full circle in that sense,
Yeah.
But then for our last movie, The Fallen Kingdom. So, as we know in this one, Isla Nublar is literally getting wiped off the face of the earth by a volcano. We get a great little Congress session with Jeff Goldblum's character, Ian Malcolm. And he's pretty much saying, no, you just let them die. And what I kind of like that he was kind of being honest. He was like saying, look, I've been through this twice now. You don't want these things going off the island. It's like, let nature, it was, again, let nature take its course. That's what he's pretty much saying.
Exactly. One of the cool things was he stayed consistent throughout the entirety of the series. He's like, you gotta let life find a way, let nature take its course. If you don't, if you screw around with it, well, we're all screwed. And one of the things that I truly loved the beginning of that movie, I mean, when the guy is like, oh yeah, I thought he got away from the T-Rex, then freaking Mo comes right up. And it's just because of the flashing lightning and whatnot, it's like purely out of a horror film.
Yes, very well done in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that part was just pure freaking awesomeness. It's like, whatever in here is dead by now. It's like, you don't know the biology of mosasaurus, do you? That thing had an Indominus Rex in it, or to feed on for a few, I don't know, maybe days, maybe weeks. You think just because, or a couple of years, it's going to starve to?
Nope. Well, also, with the park being kind of in shambles, I would think that fish would just wander in because it's on an island, and that's like the inlet area. So it probably just would have eaten whatever came into its territory.
And then they didn't get the thing closed, and it got out.
Yep.
So like, oh, just one of these things is enough to destabilize the entire ocean's ecosystem right now. I mean, yikes, man. You're going to see whales depleting. You're going to see a lot of yikes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I couldn't, well, I mean, something that big, you would think how much it would have to eat to sustain itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This thing would be going after blue whales.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sperm whales, anything it could catch, it would eat. as we
Yeah,
saw.
basically.
Yeah.
Basically,
Mm,
like you get a situation like The Meg, that
yeah.
movie, the
Exactly.
book series.
Yeah.
I read the book series. Very simple books, but very satisfying.
Yeah.
Eventually,
Oh,
later on, the book
Mm,
series they introduce, hey, they're mosasaurs and all
yeah.
these other ancient sea creatures too.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
I thought in the beginning of that series they had the mosasaurs. Or no, that was
They do. They
chromosaurs.
do, at least they're mentioned in the first book. They're definitely a
Yeah.
lot more prominent in the second book, where they actually like see them. And totally, I
Yeah.
totally recommend the book series.
I
Pretty
mean,
fun.
I've read a couple of them, or I only read one of them, which was where Jonas's kids are, or where Jonas's daughter and him go on this Spanish galleon remake for like Girls Gone Wild kind of thing.
Oh yes, I
And
like.
there's this guy that actually hints at something a lot bigger than the Megs that could literally
Mhm.
bite a megalodon in half. It's like, did they ever cover that though in the
Well,
books? Did they ever
well,
cover what the big thing was?
yeah, that's why I'm waiting. I'm waiting for some more of those books to come out because I'm like, okay, you teased it. Come on, deliver. I want that next book out.
Aaron Alston, I think, is the uh, author.
Mm. I never got to read that book series.
It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I
I listened to them
it's an
on Audible.
exclusive book series because you got to get it, or you can't find it really at bookstores and whatnot.
Yeah.
I know I've looked. You got to order it straight from a site, and I
Oh,
believe
okay.
that he
That's
is
all.
also now fully retired.
Oh, I see.
So I don't think we're all going to get any more of those Meg
Oh,
books,
such
which
a
sucks
bummer.
because I would absolutely love to see them. I
Yeah.
mean, the movie wasn't a bad adaptation, but
Yeah, it was pretty for what it was. It was pretty good. I was like,
it should have been rated R.
yes.
Mm.
Also, that chubby kid should have gotten eaten. I'm sorry, that chubby kid should have gotten eaten. The way that kid was so spoiled, it's like, why wasn't he
Yeah.
eaten?
We'll
But at
bring
least
the
traumatize.
popsicle
At
into the
least show us his
ocean.
therapy pills. At least show us the therapy invoices. That kid's gonna have millions of dollars of therapy.
Yeah. But I did see the movie, and yeah, off topic. I mean, that movie actually did pretty well. I was actually kind of surprised because it's one of those movies. It knows what it is, kind of. So like,
Yeah.
it really hams it up at some points in that. But getting back to Fallen Kingdom here. So the one scene that you know when I went to see it in theaters and all that, one scene that, and I saw it a couple times in theaters, and there's one scene that it got a reaction from like everyone. That is the death of the Brachiosaurus,
Oh,
the
yeah.
one from the first movie, because almost like a fitting end. That's the one that greets everybody in full fledged glory, and that's the one that dies at the end of the island's life.
Yeah, that was a pretty sad scene. I was like, oh, oof.
Yep.
I think I see some little sprouts.
But yeah, so there that seems like a big. It's kind of monumental because it kind of like says this is the end of Isla Nubar. That's no more.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the brachio.
Yeah,
Yeah, I cried like a bitch at that scene.
yeah, yeah. Because it's everyone's childhood is just like going up in flame, literally.
Well, it's not just that; it's just the emotional context of the whole
Yeah.
scene. That thing is trying its damnedest to get away and be safe, but
Yeah.
there's literally nowhere else to go, and
Yeah.
they're not turning around. And all the people that actually, you got that one guy that's so sadistic that's ripping teeth out of freaking
Yeah.
dinosaurs' mouths and
Yeah.
whatnot. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that guy is
Yeah.
got his comeuppance, man.
That guy got trolled
Oh, yeah.
hard by Indoraptor.
Yeah.
Yeah, by Indy,
That's
they
good.
call him Indy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my god, it's like Indy's just like he got tranked. Like how many tranks were put into him?
I think like 3
And
or 4.
yeah, and he shook it off like really,
Yeah.
really quick. It's like 13, maybe 10 minutes max, and he was
Yeah.
already up and at him.
Oh yeah. It's that high
Then he's
metabolism.
smiling.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Ooh, I got somebody in here. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
fun here." And then you literally see that dinosaur crack a smile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it, like
Oh,
kind of
man,
wink at the
man.
camera, and it's like,
It's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have fun here."
You ready for this, folks?
And then it's like, "Okay, take the tooth." Yoink! It's like, "Oh my god, man!"
Yeah.
yeah.
I also
Um,
like how it reached out for the little girl and
Oh.
just,
yeah.
oh my god.
So, okay, what do you think? Speaking of little girl, Maisie, what do you think about that reveal that she's a clone?
Well, it revealed, or considering the movie, and I'm going to be 100% honest. When I saw that movie in the theaters, I harshly reacted to it because I did not like the political allegory that this movie gave off. And I have said in all of my reviews, because I've been called a hypocrite before without basis, I do not want any political messaging in any movies, whether
Right.
they be for my views or against my views. And the truth is, Jurassic World 2 has allegory in it, which is a very pro-life film.
Mm.
They are alive, like me. Tell me that's not a pro-life message.
Oh.
Ah,
I see what
never
you
thought
mean.
of it that way, actually.
I mean, it's like, it goes to the whole concept of human cloning, how it's illegal, and that guy, then it's like, let him die. But well, no, Maisie pushes the button and they're alive like me. I had to. She basically has a kindred, or now aside from the allegory, she has a kindred tie to the dinosaurs. Basically,
Right.
she was created through InGen's work,
Right.
and it's like, all right, yeah. I mean, but still, it's like I'm not very fond of the political messaging, but I even objectively gave that movie a lower score, or subjectively gave it a lower score because of it. It's like,
Right.
I don't want any type of that messaging in my movies. So yes, a pro-life movie, a conservative film, is going to get a lower score.
I think in regards to the cloning thing, cloning humans, I mean, I feel like that's something that's always been brought up. Like, oh, why clone dinosaurs first? Why clone a T-Rex first? Why not a mammoth? And obviously, in the first book, I think they touch on some of the things and some of
Yeah.
the genetic things on
Yeah,
why
because
it's.
John Hammond talked about if he cloned condors, which are on the brink of extinction, Ian wouldn't have anything to say. But he said, no, it's
Exactly.
still against nature. You're still doing it wrong. You know.
Like, I think it would
And
have been nice if they'd, even if it was just a throwaway line in like Jurassic World, if they just said, "Oh, our endangered species division has been working on such and such things to help preserve
right.
the white African rhino," or something. I
Yeah.
think a throwaway line like that, I think it would have kind of helped at least a little bit to just kind of cushion, because basically when I saw that in Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, a person's going to be a lot easier to clone, I guess, than a dinosaur, I guess. But I'm like, yeah. I'm still pretty mixed on it. I'm like, eh.
Well, see,
Well,
the reason why
go
I
ahead.
kind of bring that one up is because you know, not very many people touch on that uh, part of the movie. But one of the reasons why I bring it up is because throughout the whole series, many fans have had this theory that some of the DNA structures of the dinosaurs is actually human DNA. You know how they have to fill in the gaps. It would account for why the raptors and the Indominus and the Endoraptor are so intelligent,
Mm,
and they normally wouldn't be. You know what I'm saying?
That is a
yeah,
possible theory. I mean, it's not
interesting.
impossible.
No. It's one of those things where when I first saw it, it kind of threw me for a loop, because it's like now we're getting into completely different territory. when you bring that kind of stuff up with human cloning and that kind of thing. So that's why I'm wondering, what do you guys foresee in this future movie? Do you think they'll keep bringing that up? Do you think they'll just disregard it? What do you think?
Well, I don't think we're going to get dinosaur human hybrids, like that scrapped concept for Jurassic Park 3.
I
don't think we'll ever get that kind, which is good. But now that is a good question. I mean, for Fallen or Dominion, for Jurassic World Dominion, I guess if that character, that cloned character, is going to be in there,
she's already cast.
Okay. Then I think it might be a discussion, but I don't know if we'll really see, I guess, any more cloned humans. I guess
they're really bringing back, Alan Grant. They're bringing back
basically.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, they're bringing back Laura Dern, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum. I wonder if they're going to bring back Lexi and Tim.
That would be cool.
There was a rumor because the Joseph Zano or whatever his last name is, the one who played Tim, he was on Twitter a couple months ago and he said, well, time to go back to work. And so everyone thought he's going to be in it, but it's never been confirmed or, denied either. So, it's one of those things where they did say that, the director did say that this is going to wrap up the series as a whole. So whatever happens with this, not sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, where I think it's going to go is basically it's going to be like World War. Because that was the whole purpose. These things were basically supposed to be made military assets. I mean, they did say one person wants a Triceratops for a pet or whatever, or a baby Triceratops for a pet.
Yeah.
It's like, one of the things I really liked in this one was the Pachycephalosaurus. The Pachy.
Oh, yeah.
The head butter.
Actually, no, that was a Stygimoic in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Stygimoic has the more defined horns.
Oh, yeah.
But
where the Pachycephalosaurus is more stub horn on the head.
probably tuck. But
I wonder what I found funny about Lost World. The guy that knew a lot about the dinosaurs was afraid of snakes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's like, you're freaking in a world with dinosaurs and you're afraid of a snake. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, hey, you gotta get killed off somehow, I guess.
He should have lived. He didn't deserve to die.
Yeah.
Also, one of the cool things about Joe Mezzano or whatever, the guy that played Tim, he was in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah. Really?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He played the bass guitarist.
Yep.
I can't remember his name though.
And actually, he was in that series, The Pacific, the miniseries on HBO.
Oh, that's a nice one. I like that series. Huh.
Yeah, he was in that one. But now as far as the girl who played the Lex, I think she doesn't act anymore, but she does art. So I don't know if they can get her back or not.
I'm sure she'll come back. She'll come back for one last romp. I mean, I've seen her only in one other movie, and it was made like maybe 2 or 3 years after Jurassic Park. It was basically a Lifetime movie where she was a student that was getting molested by a teacher.
Oh, okay.
And she had to or the only way that she was going to get the teacher arrested was by basically tricking him into confessing, and she was wearing a wire when he did and whatnot. So, yeah, it was a good movie.
No, I remember her from earlier in the movie Spaced Invaders. Do you ever see that movie?
Spaced Invaders.
Spaced Invaders,
no, I haven't seen that one.
It's about these aliens come to Earth, and it's kind of a funny comedy. And she was actually a lot. She was only like I think like 8 or 9 when she did that movie. But I remember her from that one beforehand.
I remember her
It
from
shows my
first
age.
Tremors. She was in the first Tremors. I remember that.
Yeah, it kind of shows. It's like it's funny because what else was there? So now as far as Jurassic World Dominion, obviously as we saw at the end of Fallen Kingdom, dinosaurs have been leashed onto the world, but not just the ones that Macy released, but also the ones that were auctioned off, essentially. So you can assume that the people that were invited weren't the people with the best intentions of using these dinosaurs. So like I'm interested to see if we get like as Orange Hat said about wars being fought with dinosaurs, essentially. Like they made mention that they were like mobsters, soldiers of fortune, that kind of thing, that they invited to this auction. So it'd be kind of interesting to see, essentially, dinosaurs being used by humans as like, biological weapons, essentially.
Basically, that's where I see the series going, is that there's going to be people that are going to use the ones that got auctioned off. I mean, didn't they like auction off like 30 different freaking dinosaurs before they got the Indominus?
Yeah.
Or the Indoraptor, rather?
Yeah. And that doesn't count the ones that Macy released. These are the ones that were, and also it shows that they even auction off the actual embryos. So, like,
also there's the fate of Blue. What's going to happen to her?
Yes, because she's out in the wilderness by herself now.
Yep.
So let me ask you guys. Would you have let the dinosaurs out? Or would you have let them die?
Honestly, I would be more in line with Ian Malcolm's character. It's like it has nothing to do with letting the species live. This species was extinct. What it will do to it's almost like, okay, you see the problems that happens when you introduce a feral species, invasive species, to an area. Look at how they're trying to get rid of iguanas in Florida. Look how they're trying to get rid. Same with people who let their boa constrictors out down south. That's their type of land that they love, but they're not even natural to that area. Some of those areas, and it's like it's causing havoc with the population. Now imagine something the size of a dinosaur. Like it just walking down the street, like a brontosaurus walking down the street. You know how much damage that thing can cause just walking down the street?
Like the Compsognathus alone, that's going to decimate rodent populations. You're going to screw up so much of the, ecosystem. It's like, ooh.
Just the freaking mosasaur. I mean, look what was going on in that, or at the end of that movie.
Yeah, surfers.
It's like, the surface is like that one surfer that just fell. He is now lunch, and all those other surfers are going to be lunch.
Yes.
I mean, the way that he said it is like, we've entered a new era. Welcome to Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
And quite literally, Jurassic World. It's their world now. It's like,
that lion that decided to say hi to the T-Rex. It's like, you're going to be punched. You realize that, right?
Which kind of like, that's the symbolism. You have the modern king of the jungle versus the king of the dinosaurs. It's like, which one's going to win out here?
I mean, me, honestly, I would have let them all die too. I would have. It would have sucked because you would have had to listen to them suffering.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say that I could just do it cold-heartedly. Yes, I would listen to their screams. I would listen to their agony. But I would remind myself, these things have had their shot. They are, or they're going to be an ecological disaster. As much as it sucks that they are alive, as much of a miracle that they are alive,
right?
It cannot be allowed to propagate.
Right.
Well, that's pretty much what I would do.
As much as I am pro-life, as much as I am pro-life, in real life and whatnot, I do not think that dinosaurs should be alive today.
No, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are an ecological threat to our current economy.
Well, not just
Or
economy, but
ecology, rather.
yeah. It's like, and like, it's kind of like how okay, in the series Alien, the company keeps trying to bring the xenomorphs back to use as biological weapons, and the argument is once they come to Earth, if they start to breed and they can't be controlled, you're looking at the complete decimation of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that same
That
concept is like, yeah,
you'd think that Utani would have learned because they just nuked a major population center.
Yeah.
On United States soil in AVPR. It's like,
Mhm.
we can't contain this, so we're going to nuke it. It's like, and you want to bring them back in the future? Are you nuts?
yeah. Well, shows what happened. I guess people, as Ripley says in Aliens, did I just drop brain cells in the last 60 years?
Or did IQ sharply drop in the last
Sharply
50 years?
Yeah. Because and it's kind of true. It's like it seems like when we have technology doing more for us, we seem to regress.
Exactly, and geez, you have no idea how accurate that statement is.
I mean, well, no, I'm just being serious. I mean, that's what that.
I know the accuracy of your statement is truly astonishing when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, heck, just look on Twitter once in a while. I mean, well, we all do, but right there's a
Exactly.
So, what's with this new like social media platform they've been talking about?
Parlor.
Parlor, yeah. What's that? Is that like a Twitter or something like that, kind of?
Basically like Twitter, except that you don't have to worry about being censored.
Well, not yet. Why do I feel like that?
It's like MeWe to Facebook. I mean, Facebook used to allow adult content and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then they realized, well, kids are getting on there even though they shouldn't be. So then MeWe came along where nobody under the age of 17 is allowed on that site.
Right.
So you could put all the adult content, all the shit. You can even put freaking porn gifs on that damn site, and they wouldn't even flinch.
Yeah. So, real quick,
Twitter is basically a conservative Twitter.
I see. Okay. Well, I wasn't sure. See, because I saw that like put out there by like that Star Wars girl and all that, but I wasn't sure what it was. So that's why the reason why I say that is because it's hard to find replacements for certain social media aspects. I'm just saying, because I mean, for as much as that would be good without like the censorship and that type of thing, it's hard to replace certain things. Well, look at what platform you're on now. We're on YouTube. All right. Will there ever be something to replace it? Yes, there probably will, but will it be like how YouTube is, especially with the monetization, that type of thing?
Well, BitChute is a possible alternative, but they also have restrictions.
Well, that's my point. When in general, when you really think about it, any type of restriction, it's gonna turn a few heads. So, like, do you deal with the thing that's already here, or do you move on to something new where a whole another can of worms can be,
opened up and invaded? Yeah, basically after. Or the way I see the whole SJW cancel culture thing is it's basically like a virus or like a invasive species. Once they consume every natural resource, they move on. And once they consume Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, well, they're going to move on to BitChute, MeWe, and Parler.
That's my point. Yeah, that's my point. I mean, it feels like borrowed time when you go to these other platforms.
Exactly. That's why I stick to the main platforms. I mean, there was the whole Facebook is down thing trending on Twitter earlier, and I was on Facebook with no problem. It's like, and they're like, they should just quit Facebook right now. It's all just drama. It's like, I use Facebook to connect with my family and friends who are distant or who
Yeah.
are a distance away. I don't use it for drama,
Yeah.
so fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. My mom loves Facebook. I mean, that's how she connects with all the extended family and all that. You know, that are
Exactly.
like 10, all the way across the countries and stuff. But no, and one of the things that I want to get into as far as like how it relates to the Jurassic Park series is with all this as we know, like technology leaps forward, it doubles itself every couple of years, and and it's kind of like an allegory with Jurassic Park itself, just how fast things move, and should it be moving so fast that we'll get to a point where we don't even know what we have in front of us.
You're moving to, or you're progressing too fast for control is basically the allegory for.
Yeah. Not just control, but the respect for that technology.
Yeah. Once you no longer respect what you have, you're going to lose sight of what you can do with it.
Yeah.
And you're going to misuse it.
Yeah.
And
like for instance, any type of gene editing, any type of research that has to do with that kind of stuff, that can be immediately considered you are in possession of weapons of mass destruction nowadays, because it's that scary that we are at that point where. Well, did you hear about the guy in China, the doctor in China who literally essentially made super babies?
What?
No, I did not.
Super
Okay,
babies?
well, they don't know
Well,
what the actual effects will be.
Yeah.
But he essentially edited from the womb the embryo's structure.
Oh, wow.
He immediately got censored by the government and then disappeared off the face of the earth, which means he, pretty much now works for the government, for
Wow.
China government. So, that happened a couple of years ago, but it wasn't. I can't remember what exactly he did. Supposedly, it was just something mundane, but the fact that it succeeded, that's the issue. It was something mundane, something.
That's pretty crazy. Like that's a gateway, I guess, into a whole new.
And that's why he got censored in China, and then never heard from him again. So, but what else was there? But no, like when it comes to technology, it's like we, in the Jurassic Park story and like in the movie itself, especially the first one, John Hammond and InGen saw it as something they could, make money off of, but it was in disregard to the actual respect and the talent that it took to actually do that. As Ian Malcolm says in the first movie, he's like, you stood on the shoulders of geniuses, and then you took the next step. And because you didn't earn the knowledge for yourself, you don't take any responsibility for it. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's like almost like a vicious cycle nowadays. It's I was talking to Mongo or before we started the actual live stream. Just letting you know, the reason why Orange Hat I haven't been on that much is
you've been sick.
Well, I'm literally a borderline diabetic, they told me. And
that's been going
around. So it's been kind of hectic, because if I end up ever becoming a full-fledged diabetic and if I need insulin, they'll take away my CDL.
Oh
So
shit! Why would they do that?
because that's if you have to be put on insulin, that means your sugar's so bad you could pass out while driving. And mind you, you're driving big
Yeah,
vehicles.
that's that's what I was thinking. It's like the only
Yeah,
reason why they would do that is because there's the possibility of you
yeah,
crashing a very big rig.
yeah, exactly.
A
That
very
same
big
thing.
rig.
Same thing with the person if they had a seizure, even if it's just something a fluke incident, they take away your license. It's the same concept. So yeah, it's kind of. And I have another doctor's appointment tomorrow, but see how that goes. But it's one of those things where it's like it was funny. I wasn't really on Twitter that much. I did get to see a couple of your guys' videos and stuff like that, but in some ways it was kind of liberating. I didn't really worry about because I was more worried about my own health, and you don't see. Yeah, I didn't get to see all this drama. Like one of the reasons I didn't get to see the live stream or chat with you and Giovanna and the others was I ended up watching a Twitter fight between Ultraman fans and Godzilla fans.
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
what the hell?
Yeah. That was that's silly.
Wait a
That
second.
was silly.
Wait
What?
a goddamn minute.
What?
You're telling me that you didn't go onto a live stream because you wanted to watch Godzilla fans and Ultraman fans fight?
Well, because I actually didn't realize that you actually were that much didn't like each other. I actually didn't realize that.
Shame on you, sir.
I know,
Shame.
I know. I should have came onto the stream and all that, but I was kind of engrossed by trying to figure out what the heck was going on.
G-Fan, put your damn hand over your muzzle and shame. Because you should be ashamed of yourself.
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible. And then they oh yeah, but it's like I think the only time I've ever seen a worse fight was between Spock versus Yoda.
Spock versus Yoda. Yoda would decapitate his green-blooded ass.
I feel like that would happen too. I don't see how Spock beats Yoda. I don't know Star Trek, but I know a little bit about Spock.
I think they're going more by their mentality.
Oh, okay.
Still, Yoda.
Yeah.
Dude has 900 years of wisdom.
Well, the reason why I say that is because someone got shot over that a couple of years ago.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
A couple of years ago, I guess a couple of buddies were like, arguing about who would be better, Spock or Yoda, and then I guess they were drinking also, and someone took out a gun and tried to shoot the other guy.
That's oof. Yeah.
I mean,
that's nuts. Just nuts.
We already get a bad rap, and then something like that happens. It's like I don't know what to tell you at that point. No. I did get to watch the stream after it went live, so I really like that one. I'm going to be wrapping it up here. Geez. And really, about 2 hour mark. Yeah, that sounds about right. But
a nice hefty stream.
Yeah, it was. But thank you guys for coming over to my stream. I appreciate it. Orange Hat, did you hear back from Altori?
No, I have not.
Okay,
sorry, will not. So,
all right, just wondering because I know even because she really gets into like all those versus fights and stuff like that on her channel. So
she does that. Are you kidding? She does that shit a lot.
Yeah,
and it's like I thought that because I had the Wick versus Bourne thing planned like weeks ahead, and then I see her video and it's like, sure, I'll invite her on. That would be a great thing. But
yeah,
she's probably busy. She does 2 channels, so Logicolic and her main one,
right?
And so yeah, she's probably busy. And I mean, hey, maybe she did sub to me. I know that, but
oh yeah. But but yeah, I was just wondering if you heard back or anything like that. See if you were going to do this. But so what? Real quick, just wanted to let all the viewers know, and looks like the viewers are pretty much all the people that we usually know. Soul Assassin, and yeah, mostly Soul Assassin. It's like obviously, please, if you can, subscribe to Orange Hat Reviews, Mungo's Big Thinks. These guys are great. Really, they really bring a lot to the table, and they're always like looking to have like a fun time talking about movies and pop culture and that type of thing. So if anybody else sees this, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, subscribe to our channels. We need it.
Yeah, they do. They do. I just
More
do
the
this for fun.
merrier.
I just really do this for fun. This is,
Mhm.
this isn't my job, but for a lot of these guys, it is. So, I hope you, if anybody else is watching this, please subscribe to those guys, to everyone. More in Chat Reviews, Manga's Big Things, and then you can also find them on Twitter and that sort of thing too. But I'm going to be here in the stream here, and I hope you guys have a nice rest of your Sunday afternoon.
Me too.
Yep.
All right.
And you
Take care,
too.
guys. All right. Take care, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yep.
See you
Stay
later.
humble, folks.